Steve Bailey. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do here at the Anson County Historical Society.
Okay. I was born here 60 years ago.
Okay.
I live 2 miles from here, and I got involved in my family history 44 years ago in the summer of 1976. In 1991, the Anson County Courthouse staff was receiving letters from black folk that live across the United States, and they asked me if I would answer the letters. And so that opened up a whole new world for me. And so in 2001, 2002, 2003, the local newspapers were using my Black History articles for their Black History Month features. And along that way, I never could find anything new information. So it was kind of, as the years went on, I got kind of boring with the same newspaper articles. So that ended that. And then in 2009, I got hooked up with Facebook and for my own Facebook page. And then 2011, I started the Anson County, North Carolina African American Family History Facebook page. And so in 2015, the Anson County Historical Society hired me to put together a local Black history collection, and which started like at ground zero because there was really nothing in these books and files at that time on local Black history. So I went from ground zero to now like over 1,200 files of local Black history, and over two dozen books on local Black history.
That's amazing. So what do you do day to day?
Well, sometimes people will let me know they're coming. I have visitors that have come from all over the United States, including Canada, whose ancestry came from Anson County. Basketball legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, his mother was born in Anson County. Carson Daly, who is like around 40 years old, his mother grew up in Anson County. Her last request when she passed away 2 years ago, she wanted to be buried beside her mother and grandmother at all of the United Methodist Church in Lewisville. So that's where she's buried at. And some celebrities, like the rapper Nas, you've heard the rapper Nas, his mother is from Rockingham. Yeah. Dr. Henry Louis Gates did a feature on Nas a few years ago. What impressed Henry Louis Gates so much was that Nas's mother was a little, his grandfather was a little and married a little, great-grandpa was a little and married a little, great-great-grandpa was a little and married a little. Don't know if they were all, however they were related or not, but anyway, but sometimes people just drop in. Like Wednesday was Wednesday. Brandon Robinson, who grew up here, he's 25 years old, been living in Atlanta, Georgia for a number of years now. I've been trying to get him for years to come here to visit with me, and he finally made a unexpected surprise visit. And so he was going through all the files over here in the corner. That's the Black History collection. And he was going from top to bottom, from A to Z. And so he found a file that I had on the Robinson Trucking Company, which was his great-grandfather's trucking company.
Wow. And
he presumed there were no such articles of that company, but this newspaper article was from 1956. And so, of course, he had to have a copy of it to show to all his older relatives.
What made you want to get involved in the history, especially in Anson County? What drew you to stay here?
I grew up with a grandmother who loved to talk about the past, and all I wanted to do at her house was to watch her TV and drink her sweet iced tea, and I wanted her to leave me alone. But I would hear her talk and ramble on, and I would hear her also say along the way, I know you're not listening to a word I'm saying, but I'm going to talk anyway. And one day when I was 16 years old, I realized that I needed to be making notes of everything she was talking about. My grandmother was born in 1895. And she could remember back to 1899 when she was 4 years old. Her oldest brother, Lonnie Goodwin from Lewisville, was born in 1889, and he could remember back to 1891 when he was 2 years old. So me getting started in summer 1976, I learned a lot from those two before she passed away in 1979, and he passed away in 1980.
Is there something that made you want to stay in Anson County to discover the Anson County history instead of going somewhere else and using your talents for researching?
I left here in 1987 and moved to Laurinburg for a better paying job. I was working in textiles for 20 years. And so that was in 1987. In 1997, the company I was working for was planning to move to the Texas-Mexico border. And so that job was phasing out. That company was phasing out. And so I came back to Wadesboro and worked at Glen Manufacturing. So from there to here I be.
How did you get started here?
How I got started here? I got started here, well, in 2013, the president of the Wadesboro Garden Club asked me would I start watering the flowers around town. And she said she would pay me every other week. And so when it got time to pay me, she told me to come down here and see her husband who was working here. And so I would come down here. We never met each other. That's how he met me, through getting paid through his wife. And so one day in August of 2015, he asked me would I like to work here on the days that he wasn't working. So that's how I ended up here. I didn't come here to take over.
Do you enjoy your job?
I love my job.
You do. What is the furthest someone has traveled to come find out their family history because it's led back here?
California, the state of Washington, the state of Oregon, and Canada. Well, I've had visitors from every state in the United States. All right, this is Miss Lily Massey, and she was Anson County's first registered black nurse in the 1930s. This is Mrs. Marjorie Richardson Robinson. She was regarded as the first black businesswoman in Wadesboro on Salisbury Street from 1950 to 1975. This is Mr. John Rennick, Sr. He was Anson County's first black lawyer in the 1950s. And this is our civil rights leader, Miss Ada Ford Singleton, who passed away a few years ago. The first month I worked here, August 2015, I put together 4850 files of local black history. By the end of 2015, I'd put together 480 files, and by the end of 2016, I'd put together almost 1,000 files. Let's see. Tyboro, A Modern Family. All right. Henry Louis Gates did a program on Ty Barrow. And Ty's ancestry is black and white. Ty is a descendant of the slaves of the Mass family of Burnsville Township. Now, West Deep Creek Baptist Church, Missionary Baptist Church, was established in 1866 by Reverend Joe Rattley. West Deep Creek is the oldest black missionary Baptist church in Anson County. Now, this is a 3-volume collection of some books that Irene Haley Harrington compiled.
So let's talk about COVID-19 and how it affected you guys as a research facility in the United States.
Well, we never shut down during the coronavirus. We have been in operation all this time. When people across the United States found out we were still in some sort of operation, offering services to the researching public, they were calling here. The phone was ringing 12 times a day, like April, May, and June. And we found out that we were one of the few research facilities in the United States that were still offering some type of research services. And so there would be some days I was going to the post office 3 times a day to mail packages. And from April 1st until now, we have acquired 121 new Historical Society members, and from April 1st until now, have sold and mailed out 37 copies of Mary Medley's History of Anson County that was published in 1976. And so the busiest time for me was April, May, and June. Things, of course, have slowed down since the end of June, but I still get requests to sell a copy of Mary Medley's history. And despite the shutdown, what I can remember is over those months, I've had visitors here from New York, California, Atlanta, Georgia, and throughout North and South Carolina.
What do you love most about Anson County?
That its history is so rich and far-reaching.
How do you feel that Anson County has shaped you and molded you into the person that you are today? Is there an event that stands out in your life that was like, oh, this is who I am? Is it because of Anson County, or? It
could be. My Bailey ancestors first arrived here in Anson County about 1755. And I tell people there's no place like Anson County.